This is Dr. John Whitcomb talking about inflammation of your brain, body fat, and intelligence. Well, the first study came out this week in December of 2019, looking at 4,400 women from England. And extensive body measurements were done, including waist size, percent body fat, muscle mass, and such, and measured against fluid intelligence. And fluid intelligence is a measurable entity that basically says how well you cope with a novel circumstance that you're out of your comfort zone. You want fluid intelligence. And what that study showed was the more body fat you had, the bigger your waist size, the less fluid intelligence you had. Sort of suggesting that total body fat correlates with not being as smart. Ouch. But that actually correlates with a lot of other studies, such as the following. A study from Yale, for example, showed that when you look at the percent of saturated fat in your diet, you can show that saturated fat turns on or activates UCP2, uncoupling protein 2. Uncoupling protein 2 tells your mitochondria sort of the wrong message, uncouples them, says you need to eat more. That's actually useful with brown fat where you make energy in winter to keep you warm. Not so useful when you're eating a hamburger because it says you need more of this, and sure enough, so you turn around and eat more. Well, there's more evidence along this line in other regards. For example, we're pretty certain that 70% of your immune system is around your gut. And when you inflame your gut, you inflame your brain, because your brain is 50% computer chips and 50% microglia. And the microglia are protecting the neurons, the computer chips, and they wrap around the microglia and protect them. When you inflame your gut, you turn on inflammation. That inflammation turns on microglial activation. Well, there's even more. What your brain is really aching for is to run not on glucose, but on beta-hydroxybutyrate. When you run on beta-hydroxybutyrate, you calm your brain down. And where does beta-hydroxybutyrate come from? Well, you make it when you fast. So when you go overnight, you're making some, because that's when you're breaking down fat. But most interesting, you make beta-hydroxybutyrate when you eat green vegetables. So when you eat spinach, you break down the cell wall. The bacteria in your colon break down the cell wall to make beta-hydroxybutyrate. That's interesting. So you thought spinach was a carb. It's not. It's a high-fat food. It makes you make beta-hydroxybutyrate, which your brain is aching to run on. So what that comic, remember when you were 6 years old and you read Popeye and olive oil? They were right. Eating spinach is good for your brain. And losing weight is good for your brain. And running on beta-hydroxybutyrate is good for your brain. And getting fat just plain isn't. What will work for me? The more vegetables we eat, the better we are. This is Dr. John Whitcomb finishing up News and Nutrition. Being overweight and eating fat is not so good for your brain.